All right, well, this should be live for Fireside. Just confirming that. Yes, all right. Welcome to Fireside Chat. Number 239, if I have the count right here. Not a ton to go over. I think we've had some longer Fireside Chats lately, but not too many announcements this time around. I'll go ahead and plug the job board channel once again. Encourage people to check that out. If you are a guest, you won't be able to see that. I was just kind of testing that out, seeing how guest accounts see that. Obviously, certain channels are hidden just for WA members, so hey, join the clan. But if you are a WA member, do check that out. Even if you're a brand new recruit, we always encourage people to offer to help, or if they're interested in ranking up and such, or just helping in general. That's always super appreciated. So even if you're just curious, maybe some of the stuff that's being worked on behind the scenes by some of the clan leadership, checking out job board is a good way to do it, to do that, because I kind of list sort of projects that we have in the pipeline and such, different things that are being discussed. We'll go over one of those now, which the Council of Houses, so the leadership of all of the clan's houses, and myself, and an Aryan who's sort of the, as Vice Admiral, the overseer of all the houses and families and all the lords and ladies. We have all been discussing a sort of intermediate step between a family and a house. So the thinking is that that would be a duchy. Now, we were talking about either calling it a minor house or a duchy, and that's kind of the debate right now. If you're on the Council of Houses, please check that out, read up, and respond. We already had a vote on it. It was pretty close, but we settled on adding the step rather than keeping it as it is. Which I'm pretty neutral on. I mean, I think I can see both sides of that, so I think I'm fine with it. It should be cool. I like that it should give a little bit of motivation and something for people to strive for who are growing their family within the house. We've got people doing a lot of recruiting lately, which is awesome to see. Thank you to everybody doing that. So you can get your own family, and then if you have two or more families, and I mean, when we finalize this, like I said, we're still discussing, do we even call this duchy or minor house? I think currently we're leaning towards calling it a duchy, since it would be led by a duke or duchess, which kind of makes sense logically speaking. If you call it a minor house, it's a little more confusing because it would probably still be led by a duke, but then the name doesn't match up as well. And then it's kind of like, well, is this a house or not? It's like, no, technically it's not a house. It's not a full house. It's a minor house. It's like, okay. Something that can be confusing for newer people. So that's something that we're talking about. But I'm, again, open to either one. But heads up, we're probably leaning that direction. So that's the thinking on that. And then, yeah, the idea would be that we drop some requirements, probably, more difficult than just having a family, but easier than making your own house. And this gives an option A for people moving towards eventually trying to make their own house. Kind of, they have that intermediate step to reach first, which is good for everybody. It's good for leadership because it kind of gives us more time to monitor and make sure we don't have a situation where a house gets made and then everyone disappears or whatever. We make sure that everything is proceeding and activity is staying, everything's being done properly. But also B, I think it's nice for the person working towards their house because they kind of have these steps to go along rather than having to just make this one huge leap. So that's the thinking on that. Probably the requirements. I mean, let me see if I can just give a rough guesstimate kind of what they would be based on what we have for our current requirements. So currently, the requirements for a family are 10 active WA members of rank Marine or higher. At least 2 need to be gunner. At least 1 current or former CO. Pretty regular. For a house, you're talking about needing 20. At least 5 need to be gunner. At least 3 need to be COs. And you need 2 families, each with at least 10 people in them. So probably what we will do for duchy creation is that you need probably 2 families and maybe 1 or 2 COs, and each family needs at least maybe 5 people. I'm just spitballing here, but I think you can expect they'll probably be something along those lines. So that's kind of probably the rough idea that we'll have there. The general idea being you would need 2 families, and then they would both become part of a duchy. Let's see if there's anything else we've got here. right at the end of the month here. Officer meeting coming up this Saturday, 2:30 p.m. Pacific. That'll be in the command center, voice chat under WAHQ. But of course, if you have duties such as roster review, do be sure to get those done ASAP before the officer meeting, ideally, because that's when we kind of will go over everything, kind of ask questions for anybody that needs them. So get that done. Hopefully, I think we're all submitted on situation reports, but if not, get those written and submitted. Yeah. And I think that should be about it. Double check if we have anything else on the calendar coming up here. We just had the Feast of Euler. That was yesterday. And not a lot of celebrations, a couple birthdays, and then the 20th will be both Listling Day and the Festival of Astara. So, cool day for House Commander coming up here in a couple of weeks. But I think that'll about do it. So I'm going to go ahead and just sign off, and I'll be hanging out for office hours in Cyril.